Your next dinner out might serve you more than you bargained for. While you're deciding between the chicken and the pasta, these popular restaurant chains are hiding secrets that could turn your meal into a memory you'd rather forget. From kitchens that operate more like chemistry labs to food handling practices that would make a health inspector reach for the sanitizer, some of America's favorite dining spots are serving up disappointment with a side of regret. What looks like a welcoming restaurant with friendly service and appetizing photos might actually be a maze of shortcuts, reheated leftovers, and practices that prioritize speed over safety. You think you're paying for a freshly prepared meal, but you might be getting yesterday's mistakes microwaved into submission. Let's start with a chain that's mastered the art of making processed food feel homemade. Applebee's. This neighborhood grill has become famous for all the wrong reasons, and once you know what happens behind those kitchen doors, you'll understand why smart diners are looking elsewhere. Applebee's has perfected the microwave meal disguised as restaurant dining. Former kitchen staff have revealed that up to 90% of the food served comes frozen, pre-cooked, and vacuum-sealed. That sizzling plate of fajitas isn't fresh off the grill. It's carefully staged theater with reheated meat from a plastic pouch. One former cook from Arizona said, "Everything came in bags. We were basically expensive microwave operators with aprons. The grilled chicken on your salad was likely cooked weeks ago in a factory, frozen, shipped, and then reheated in a steamer or microwave. The grill marks are often artificial, added during the industrial cooking process to create the illusion of fresh preparation. Even the vegetables in your stir-fry have been pre-cut, blanched, and frozen before arriving at the restaurant." Temperature abuse is rampant during the reheating process. Former employees report that food often sits at unsafe temperatures while staff juggle multiple orders. One manager admitted that during rush periods, they'd skip temperature checks entirely to keep orders moving. "The thermometer was more of a suggestion than a requirement," she said. The famous riblets that Applebee's promotes aren't actually ribs. They're shaped pork products molded to look like ribs. The sauce that makes them fall off the bone is loaded with enzymes that break down connective tissue, creating an artificial tenderness that masks the processed nature of the meat. Cross-contamination is another major concern. The same surfaces, utensils, and equipment are used for multiple dishes without proper sanitization between uses. Former staff describe a kitchen environment where speed takes priority over safety, especially during busy dinner rushes when proper cleaning protocols get abandoned. Customer complaints about food poisoning after eating at Applebee's have increased significantly in recent years. Online reviews frequently mention stomach issues, unusual tastes, and the discovery of foreign objects in food. The high turnover rate means inexperienced staff often handle food without adequate training in safety procedures. Next up is a chain that promises fresh, healthy options but delivers something quite different. Subway. This sandwich giant has built an empire on the illusion of customization and freshness. But the reality behind that sneeze guard might make you lose your appetite. The bread at Subway contains so much sugar that Irish courts ruled it couldn't legally be called bread due to its dessert-like sugar content. What you think is a healthy whole wheat sub is actually closer to cake in terms of sugar levels. The fresh-baked aroma comes from partially baked bread that's finished in-store, not made from scratch, as the marketing suggests. The meat quality at Subway has been questioned repeatedly. Laboratory tests have found that the tuna contains no detectable tuna DNA, leading to lawsuits and investigations. Former employees describe the tuna as a processed mixture that bears little resemblance to actual fish. One worker said, "It came in big tubs and looked more like cat food than tuna." Temperature control in the food displays is inconsistent across locations. Health inspections have found sandwich ingredients sitting at dangerous temperatures for hours. The sneeze guards don't prevent temperature fluctuations, and busy locations often leave food out longer than safety guidelines recommend. The vegetables at Subway often arrive pre-cut and treated with preservatives to extend shelf life. That fresh lettuce may have been processed days or weeks before reaching your sandwich. Former employees report finding moldy vegetables mixed in with fresh ones, with instructions to simply remove the visible bad pieces and use the rest. Cross-contamination is inevitable in Subway's assembly line setup. The same gloves and utensils handle all ingredients, meaning allergens and bacteria can spread easily between sandwiches. If someone orders a seafood sub before you and you have a shellfish allergy, your sandwich might contain enough cross-contamination to cause a reaction. The third restaurant on our list might surprise you with its casual dining reputation. But TGI Fridays has serious problems hiding behind those colorful cocktails and appetizer platters. TGI Fridays operates more like a frozen food factory than a restaurant kitchen. Former cooks describe a process where most dishes arrive pre-cooked and vacuum-sealed, then get reheated to order. The sizzling fajita platters are pure theater. The sizzle comes from hitting a hot plate with water, not from freshly grilled meat. The potato skins that made Fridays famous are often prepared days in advance, stored in walk-in coolers, and reheated when ordered. The crispy texture you expect comes from multiple reheatings that dry out the potatoes and concentrate the artificial flavors. One former kitchen manager said, "We'd make huge batches on Sunday and serve them all week." Quality control varies dramatically between locations and shifts. Understaffed kitchens often skip critical food safety steps like temperature monitoring and proper storage rotation. Former employees report seeing expired ingredients still being used, with dates changed or covered to hide expiration warnings. The restaurant's famous loaded dishes often contain ingredients that have been sitting out for hours. Cheese sauce, bacon bits, and other toppings are prepared in large batches and kept warm throughout service. By evening, these items may have been sitting at unsafe temperatures for 6 to 8 hours. Alcohol service creates additional food safety risks. Busy bartenders often handle food items without changing gloves, transferring bacteria from bar surfaces to food. The combination of rushed service and inadequate training leads to cross-contamination between alcoholic beverages and food items. Our fourth offender is Olive Garden, the chain that wants you to feel like family while serving you food that barely qualifies as Italian. Olive Garden's fresh pasta is actually boiled, frozen, and reheated when ordered. The signature breadsticks arrive at restaurants as frozen dough logs that get baked throughout the day. What seems like unlimited fresh bread is actually a rotation of reheated carbohydrates with artificial butter flavoring. The famous Tour of Italy combines 3 different reheated entrees on one plate. None of these dishes are prepared fresh. They're assembled from pre-cooked components that have been sitting in holding containers. Former servers describe the kitchen as more like a reheat station than a cooking operation. Sauce quality is inconsistent because large batches are prepared and held at temperature for hours. The Alfredo sauce, in particular, tends to separate and develop a grainy texture when held too long. Kitchen staff often stir in additional cream or butter to mask texture problems, but this doesn't fix the underlying quality issues. The salad bar setup creates cross-contamination risks. The same utensils are used for different ingredients, and the sneeze guard doesn't prevent contamination from reaching across the bar. Former employees report seeing customers and staff members contaminate ingredients through improper handling. Temperature logs at many Olive Garden locations show frequent violations, with food held outside safe temperature ranges for extended periods. The pressure to serve food quickly often overrides safety protocols, especially during busy dinner services when multiple tables need food simultaneously. Let's talk about our fifth restaurant, Chipotle, which has built a reputation on fresh ingredients but delivers food safety nightmares with concerning regularity. Chipotle's food poisoning track record is extensive and well documented. Multiple E. coli, salmonella, and norovirus outbreaks have sickened hundreds of customers over the past decade. The assembly line format increases contamination risks because ingredients are handled repeatedly by different staff members using the same utensils. The rice preparation process is particularly problematic. Large batches are cooked and held at temperature for hours, creating ideal conditions for bacterial growth if temperatures aren't maintained properly. Former employees report that rice often sits longer than company policy allows, especially during slow periods when new batches aren't started frequently. Cross-contamination is inevitable in Chipotle's open kitchen format. The same serving spoons move between different ingredients, and staff often don't change gloves between handling raw and cooked items. The lettuce, which has been linked to several outbreaks, is chopped fresh but stored in conditions that can promote bacterial growth. Portion control pressure leads to unsafe practices. Employees are coached to keep portions small to control costs, but this leads to reaching deep into containers where contamination risks are higher. The bottom of ingredient containers often contains debris and liquid that can harbor bacteria. Training inconsistencies across locations mean food safety protocols aren't uniformly followed. High turnover rates result in inexperienced staff handling food without adequate safety training. Former managers describe being told to prioritize speed over safety during busy periods. Our sixth restaurant is Taco Bell, where the late-night favorite has become synonymous with questionable ingredients and dubious meat quality. Taco Bell's seasoned beef contains only 88% actual beef, with the remainder being fillers, preservatives, and artificial flavoring. The texture comes from modified food starch and other binding agents that create an unnatural consistency. Former employees describe the beef as arriving in frozen blocks that get rehydrated with hot water and seasoning packets. The beans at Taco Bell start as dehydrated powder that gets mixed with hot water to create a paste-like consistency. One former worker said, "It looked more like concrete mix than food. We just added water and stirred until it looked like beans." Temperature control is problematic during busy late-night hours when fewer staff members are on duty. Food often sits longer than recommended holding times, and temperature checks get skipped to keep the drive-through line moving. Former employees report serving food that had been sitting out for hours. The cheese sauce and sour cream dispensers are rarely cleaned as thoroughly as they should be. These dairy products can harbor dangerous bacteria if not maintained at proper temperatures and sanitary conditions. Former workers describe seeing mold growth in sauce dispensers that were cleaned only when visible contamination became obvious. Cross-contamination between meat and vegetarian items is common, despite company policies. The same surfaces and utensils are used for all ingredients, making it impossible to guarantee that vegetarian orders are truly meat-free. This poses risks for customers with dietary restrictions or allergies. Restaurant number 7 is Denny's, the 24-hour diner that never closes but probably should take a break for some serious kitchen cleaning. Denny's 24-hour operation creates unique food safety challenges. Food sits longer during slow overnight hours, and cleaning schedules get disrupted by constant service demands. Former night shift workers describe seeing food held at unsafe temperatures for entire shifts because new batches weren't started frequently enough. The breakfast items that Denny's is known for often come from questionable sources. Eggs arrive as liquid in cartons rather than fresh shells, and they're often held at temperatures that promote bacterial growth. Former cooks report using eggs that had been sitting out for hours, especially during busy weekend breakfast rushes. Grill cleaning is inadequate between different types of food. The same surfaces that cook burgers also prepare pancakes and eggs without proper sanitization. Former employees describe grease buildup that gets scraped off rather than properly cleaned, leaving residue that affects food safety and taste. The pie and dessert offerings sit in display cases for days or weeks before being served. Former servers report being told to scrape mold off pie crusts rather than throwing out old desserts. The refrigeration in dessert cases is often inadequate, leading to food sitting at unsafe temperatures. Staffing issues during overnight hours mean fewer people are responsible for both cooking and cleaning. Quality control suffers when one person is trying to handle multiple stations, leading to shortcuts in food safety procedures. Our final restaurant is Long John Silver's, the seafood chain that has managed to make fish and chips feel like a health hazard. The oil used for frying at Long John Silver's is often reused far beyond recommended limits. Former employees report oil being used for days or weeks without changing, leading to food that tastes rancid and poses health risks. The dark, thick oil creates an unappetizing coating on food that masks spoilage flavors. The fish itself arrives frozen and heavily processed, often sitting in walk-in freezers for weeks before being used. The breading contains so many artificial ingredients that the final product bears little resemblance to fresh fish. Former workers describe fish that smells off, even when frozen, indicating quality problems before cooking even begins. Batter is often reused throughout the day, accumulating bits of previous orders and developing bacterial growth. The same batter that coated fish in the morning might still be used for evening orders, creating a contaminated coating that affects food safety. Temperature control in the warming lamps is inconsistent, with food often sitting at unsafe temperatures for hours. The pressure to avoid waste means questionable food gets served rather than discarded. Former managers admit to serving fish that had been sitting out longer than safety guidelines recommend. The coleslaw and other sides are often prepared in large batches and held for days before being served. Former employees report seeing vegetables that were clearly past their prime being mixed into fresh batches to avoid waste. These 8 restaurants represent some of the most problematic practices in the food service industry. From reheated frozen food masquerading as fresh preparation to inadequate temperature control and cross-contamination risks, dining at these establishments means rolling the dice with your health and satisfaction. The solution isn't to avoid restaurants entirely, but to choose establishments that prioritize food safety and quality over speed and profit margins. Look for restaurants with open kitchens where you can see food being prepared. Ask questions about preparation methods and ingredient sources. Trust your instincts. If something smells, looks, or tastes wrong, don't eat it. Your dining experience should enhance your day, not ruin it with food poisoning or disappointment. When you know which restaurants to avoid and what warning signs to watch for, you can enjoy eating out without the risks that come with these problematic chains. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Now you're officially more informed than most customers. Like and subscribe to help us keep the spotlight on the food industry's best-kept secrets. And remember, the truth is not always on the menu.